You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keven. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Mad Men After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Mad Men After Show.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for doing, and we are doing another AFTERBUZZ TV podcast, Mad Men Season 5, Episode 9, Other Woman. I'm your host, John Comerford. I'm joined in the studio by the co-creator of AFTERBUZZ TV, Keven Undergaro, who's at the moment filling out a board.
Hello, this is Keven.
He's filling out the topic board, and along with him is our producer, Phil Svitek.
You know why?
Why is that?
Hello.
Because this effing show is nothing like Jersey Shore Hogwash.
Yeah.
He's saying this effing...
Involved in this.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh my
I'm gonna...
God, it's like a effing novel.
Okay, this show is like an effing novel, he says.
Yes. Also from the booth, Ronnie Jr.
What's up, you guys? I think this is the #1 Mad Men show out of all the podcasts, so I love it. Ready to hear what you guys have to say about it.
I think Kevin's writing his own novel on that topic board over there.
So here's the, for those of you who are just tuning in or haven't downloaded us or listened to us before, we go up right after we see the show, about 10 minutes later. So we're taking this in and and coming up with our ideas. And every time right before we go, oh my God, there's so much to talk about. How do we do this? How do we structure it so it makes sense? And this is just...
And Ronnie from the booth, he was like, come on, guys, it's 11 minutes. We got to go up. That's why Kevin's so
Well, I mean,
late.
I could buy some time and let everyone know that, of course, AFTERBUZZ will be at the MCV Gifting Suite, next week, this actual week, May 31st and June 1st. If you like all the madness that that almost kind of worked. Madness of... celebrities and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's MTV Gifting Suite. We're doing that this week, so look out for that.
And it's 10 shows that we showcase, and a bunch of ones. In fact, one of them will be Pauly D Project, so Keven can relax over there on Friday.
Nice easy day.
Exactly.
And it's from noon to 6 p.m. on both days. That's Pacific Standard Time. Of course, on AFTERBUZZ TV.
Okay, so this week, Mad Men, very full. We see Don, just getting it from all sides with all the women in his life. We see Joan taking one for the team and for herself. Pete really pushing the old Jaguar envelope and making sure that the business grows. And of course, I'm going to start off with the Megan and her audition.
And not only with Joan, just let's not make light of it. And I know you weren't because you understand. Really taking this next step into hell. I mean, this is it now.
Yeah.
If she was ever on the fence.
Yeah, and and we will get there.
Huge. Yeah,
it is huge, and I only make light of it because it's so full and it was so dramatic. I was kind of stunned and shocked by the whole event. But we were going to start off with Megan just to get into that a little bit. And Phil, you had some interesting things and viewpoints on that. So why don't we start off with just what was your overall thinking?
Well, you're mentioning that this is a very Don-centric episode.
Yeah, it's kind of like the hub. For me, it was. Everything was happening, and everywhere he was going, there was stuff happening, ancillary, but then affecting him. But go ahead.
And now, it's been a couple of weeks that we've seen Megan on auditions. And again, as she stated, what did you think? I was going to fail at this? And by her and going off to Boston, potentially, for 8 weeks and all of this. And, he says... the biggest line in terms of that whole storyline was when he says to her, just continue doing what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And he really wants her back.
Yeah.
And there's that great moment when she comes to visit him where everyone's like, hey, throw an idea. Jaguar. It's your problem, not
I know.
mine.
Yeah, she wants to have nothing to do with it.
But the frustrating thing I think for Dawn is that she's so smart that she could actually come up with it.
And she was so, she's so good.
Once again, we're seeing old versus new. Dawn says to her, "No, I want you at home."
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
And it was, as again, here's this 40-year-old guy who's telling the new generation, like, no, you're a wife. A wife doesn't leave her husband.
Yeah, and if you're not going to be in the office, I want you home. Because I think
did you notice it was when she was reading her audition?
Yeah.
She offered to help.
Yeah.
And she said, listen,
reluctantly at
the
first,
Mr. thing's not going to work.
Yeah.
And when he got frustrated with her, she was like, basically, instead of 3 or 4 episodes ago where she would have probably thrown him a lifeline and come up with a clever idea, she was turned on Johnny Carson.
Exactly. Put I'm
going to go. I'm going to do my audition.
Yep.
In her in a nice little green nightie.
I liked and the language they gave her. So the wife's at home, like a Buick in the garage, which is exactly what she's just trying to avoid. What doesn't want anything to do with.
Right.
I loved all the metaphors with the Jaguar and the Buick and the mistress and prostitutes. It's just full. It's ripe with those things. Yeah, couldn't get over them. So and then the other thing is I love that. Okay, so many auditions in this. We had. Obviously Megan's auditions and her. I thought it was the same thing as Dawn's pitch. I mean, that's an audition as well. And then even Peggy has her audition with the new boss and that kind of thing. So they had those auditions. And the parallels, okay, so they're talking about the car, it's a woman, all that kind of stuff. And then when Megan has her audition, she's standing there in front of 3 guys who's just sitting on a couch. They don't care anything about her acting ability at all. They don't even ask her to read. They just want her to stand, step forward, turn around, as if they're just checking out the curves of a car.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, how much more of a metaphor can you get?
Right.
So, and she was so excited to go for this. And I can't remember, what was the play?
Little Murders.
Little Murders, that's it, yeah. She's so
excited.
Isn't
this little murders going on?
Yeah. And,
all over this episode.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was a reference to Little Murders because what's the orgasm is a little death? Yes, they call that. So I'm wondering if that was, because I don't remember the play, and we don't, because we go up so quickly, we don't have a chance to really research that. Anyway, so what else did...
I mean, it's also ironic. I mean, not that it's a big point, but again, you think of plays and things like that, acting, and this could have played into it a little bit. She's going off to Boston.
Yes.
So you're in New York. You're in the hub of where it's supposed to all be happening, and you're further leaving to go to Boston. And Boston, granted, I went there, and it's it has great plays and things like that. But again, you think of plays, New York.
Yeah, but they always go out of town first to do their runs and do their they basically kick the tires and do their trial run elsewhere before they bring it.
Well, is that a point then? Because he says you're going to Broadway, not jail.
Not jail.
Yeah.
And so if you're gonna do this, be on Broadway instead of some.
But that's how little he knows about the Broadway thing. He's not even invested. He doesn't even realize he's taking on trial runs out of town.
But even more so, his eye is always on the prize. As opposed to having to build that. So. Just interesting.
Yeah. So, and what else did you want to speak to with the Megan issue?
For me, that was kind of it. They didn't have a nice reconciliation moment.
No,
they didn't.
Well, they had a little bit of one, but it was still troubled a little bit.
It was like, but if I'm not going to fail.
Yeah, exactly. And she was great. I thought they kept giving it, and they really conflicted things. Because look, if it's between you and this, I'll choose you, but I'm not going to fail.
But I'm going to hate you if I do.
Exactly, I hate you if I do. Yeah. And so and then he says, I don't want you to fail. Well, it's good because I'm not. I mean, so she's like, they put a really good spot. He's very, very.
We're seeing. Like we've been seeing all season, it's the old versus the new in so many ways, all through all the subplots. And it is how, the women, are starting to get rights. They're gaining strength and seeing what they're all going through.
Yeah, and, I can't talk enough about how, for me, all of this was about how women are perceived by these men. This whole thing, they're prostitutes, they're whores, they're wives, but they don't see them as equals. By any stretch. I mean, not that they would. I mean, we know the era.
They're objects.
They're a piece of
objects,
jewelry,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the whole thing.
And the ones that are beautiful run like shit.
Yeah.
Like the Jaguar.
Impractical. I mean, the whole metaphor that he's talking about, he's making the pitch. It's like, well, that's just how they really viewed them. And it's kind of shocking sometimes.
You can't, what did Cooper say? It's interesting. You can't put a dollar figure on the significance of a car.
Yeah.
This is it was interesting.
Because of what it means to the... of the company,
but we know, the one thing, there's probably not a line in this script and on a weekly basis that doesn't mean something more. And that's the two things that
very few throwaway lines. Well, there are other dramatic series where that they're not a hell of a lot of subtext.
I think this Boardwalk Empire and Breaking Bad are the most, but this has been the thickest that I've seen. And the other thing is I talk about every week is just the use of the colors. And for me, the color red, standing out and really being the symbol of evil, and the devil and temptation, just all throughout it. And probably as we go on, I mean, with Megan, there was that red lamp in her during her audition, and then in their bedroom, and but as we talk about other subjects, I'll give you more specifics. Right. It's interesting, too, even just the color green, and which paid off to, at least was somewhat explained when Joan went out with her guy, and he said, here, emerald, it suits you,
right?
So it was interesting. And then that's why we saw Megan in the green, and then we saw Joan in the green, and the scene from next week, whoever takes Joan's job is in the green. Yeah, it's just interesting. But
and I like that. Let's go back to.
I just want to say one thing. In speaking about Cooper, and the significance, you can't put a price on a car.
Right.
In the previously on, they had Don saying last week's episode of Line, the world will know we've arrived. Yeah. When we get Jaguar.
Exactly.
And now we're finally seeing where they're all arriving to. And to Kevin's point, hell.
And they have put a price on it.
Yeah.
Because first it was 50,000, then it's 5% stake.
Right.
I mean, they are putting a price on this.
Absolutely.
They're willing to go that far. And I thought that was interesting because they kept talking about, you can't put a price on these things, but then it was seriously a negotiation. There were prices thrown everywhere, and just when you think you can't, well, actually you can, because this is business. I love that because this leads into Pete, because he was the one that's really pushing the whole Joan thing, and I love that he says, look. Oh, when he first comes to Joan with the idea, and couched in such a horrible way, how he said, look, I didn't come up with this, he did, and I know this is not going to happen, but can you help me break it to the partners that we're not going to get Jaguar?
Oh, he's amazing. But by the way, so can we move on to Pete, Phil, or do we have, with our topic board, do we have to go to talk about Amazon?
Wait, well, of course we got to talk about Amazon.
Okay, because I'm dying to get into Pete.
Okay,
My God.
Go ahead.
Well, it seems Pete's biggest.
Well, before we do though, I think I'm getting the flag from Marissa that we have to talk Amazon before we get into Pete.
Yeah.
Let me.
So
well, here.
Oh, you had the Amazon connection.
He did.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry,
Pete's biggest frustration is that he's far away from Manhattan. Now, because they're in the 60s and things like that, because Manhattan you can get anything. Now the good news is Amazon exists. You could be anywhere and get whatever you want, right, Kev? I mean, that's the beauty of this.
Anything you want.
Click,
click, click, as we say here.
And so, what we ask of you fans is that when you're going click, click, click on Amazon and buying anything that you are buying, whether it's books, DVDs, cups, cup holders.
I gotta say, Tamara, my wife bought jeans I think it was yesterday, and she goes, I just bought jeans on Amazon through AFTERBUZZ.
Very nice.
Cha-ching.
That's right. So the cool part is if you go to AfterBuzzTV.com first, before making your purchase, there you'll find an Amazon banner. Click through that banner and purchase away. You shopaholics.
Well,
and it definitely helps us out. And, to the point of, what kind of Phil was saying, it's a good thing. It makes you happy. And even me, like I walked in today into the office, AfterBuzz Studios, best attitude in the world. And Phil's like, what happened to you? I'm like, well, I finally got my iPod that I had bought on the AfterBuzz Amazon, affiliate banner. So
you're going to buy these things anyway. You might as well come to AfterBuzz TV first.
And it makes you happy. So
click on the banner. So we appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. It keeps lights on here, and that's what we need.
Yes.
So now this gets us to Pete, and I thought that first scene with he and Joe. First of all, that's just so weird the way Herb, the Jaguar guy, he at that lunch when he was talking about what he wanted and what he saw. I mean, he obviously didn't know her name, and he really kind of talked about Joan like she was an object, of course, objectifying her. It was almost like seeing a cherry red car. I mean, that's what it sounded like the way he was talking to her. So let's get to the scene where Pete's talking to Joan, and it's just being horribly awkward and uncomfortable. Well, he wasn't actually. I was just horribly awkward and uncomfortable when that scene when he's talking to Joan and trying to get her to agree to this thing. And how did he count? What was the first thing? I can't even remember what I wanted to talk about now. But anyway, so let's talk
when
about that
when he
scene.
solicited.
When he first solicited her. Oh yeah, and here it goes because she's all shocked and gets her hackles up because you're talking about prostitution, and he goes, no, I'm talking about business at the highest level. So that's how he frames this.
And again, talking about the old versus the young. It's Dawn has the, believe it or not, when it comes to business, it seems like the old world approach of like, well, our talent will win out.
That's right. Yeah.
Our talent will win out. And the new world is like, no, not willing to go. We're willing to go there. We'll cut the corners. It's not going to be about the talent. It's going to be about the image over substance.
But the only one against it, in a sense, because everybody else votes for it.
That's what I'm saying. Dawn is old school of like, no, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to get it with our talent. The new school is like, no, we're going to cut corners. We're going to open our legs. We're going to do what we have to do, and that's.
But you would have thought that Cooper would have said no.
Well, here's the thing.
Roger.
Well, you go through the if you
that's what I mean.
Well, Roger
says
no.
I'm not against it. I just want to pay for it.
But okay, here's the interesting thing why I think is great writing. I think the easy sentimental way would be for Roger to step up and have ethics.
Right.
What Roger to me was the Pontius Pilate.
Oh right, yeah.
I'm not for it, but if
that's what you want to do, I'll wash my hands of it.
But I'm not going to pay for it,
right,
as he said. But he didn't. But he didn't. And to me, consistent with his character.
Yeah.
To not do anything.
Yeah, it wasn't
Lane
for him.
and Pete want a fist fight. He doesn't take a side.
Exactly.
He sits and watches.
He'll watch it.
And so if you look at everybody, and you look at Lane, I would
think.
But
he had that. I just expected a little bit more from Roger, only because the last time he, first of all, the whole talking about the baby, and then last week when he's talking to Joan, he's kind of wants something there to be the whole flower.
He does,
thing.
but he's two-dimensional. He can't really go any further. And he did say, "Wait, Joan wanted that." You saw the reaction.
Yeah,
he was not pleased. He wasn't.
No,
not that he wasn't affected.
Right.
It's just that he's not the guy.
Yeah.
That's going to take this stand.
No.
So he was, to me, he was the middle guy. Now Lane,
didn't
like it either.
To last week's point, he said, how many guys have I, watched you kind of go and be with, and I've not said anything.
Yeah.
And so there's another one of those people.
Yeah.
So
and of course, Lane has ulterior motives anyway,
right?
Because the whole money issue,
right?
Yeah, which we'll get into in a second. But anyway, so Dawn's the only one that's against it, and firmly against it. No, and then leaves.
Right.
Should have stuck around.
But the new school is
yeah, we'll do whatever we can.
It's going to win out.
Whatever it takes, exactly. And because of Pete's ambition anyway.
Right.
But this is business at the highest level, and it's always been that way. I mean, how many times have they thrown sex at something?
Right.
To fix it or to get it or whatever.
Well, at least in this world,
yeah.
It's where I think we're seeing more of the soul selling, and that maybe we haven't seen.
The continual spiral.
Yeah, it's spiraling. And with Pete, though, can we talk about him and his wife?
Sure. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. He's reading the book. Good night, nobody.
Yeah.
Good night, old lady. So it's like, isn't it so much? Isn't this the wife? Yeah. Isn't that what we're talking about?
And you notice in the previews they showed him and I can't remember his name of the guy on the train with him.
His
Get his name at the moment. What's that?
I don't know.
His buddy. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's talking about getting an apartment in the city, and of course that's what he's talking to his wife about.
And the wife almost goes there to say, "Listen, I thought she was going to say, I know there's another woman, the way you're working.
Right.
But she doesn't say that.
She says, I'm tired of
because
competing.
I'm tired of competing. So again, it's talking about every single one of these subplots goes back to this mistress thing.
This other woman.
And I think the wife, Trudy, she's always been smarter, in terms of Pete. She knows he's got ambition, and she's actually riled him up, where he says, I'm not happy or whatever, and she told him, no, that's ambition. And remember, at the beginning of the season, she's the one who told Don.
Yeah, she was the Lady Macbeth.
Yeah,
at least we thought. At least he had said in interviews. But I love his, your love affair with the Manhattan Cemetery.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want my kids to be raised in fresh air.
Yeah.
So.
Which was a common argument.
And it's an epic poem to get home. So it's just interesting. It's interesting.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
And that boy, he got angry really quickly. That thing was simmering underneath, and he was in such a good mood. before he got home. And now he's exhausted. I'm just exhausted just trying to put my foot down. That was nice. So what do we think about the way Pete handled this whole thing, orchestrating Joan into this? And
it's new school. It's new school of, like, you know, how many times the older generations always say that?
Yeah.
You kids, you know, always want to do things the easy way. Always just want to cut corners. Always want to.
Yeah, not interested. You know, it's so because Don was so hell bent on winning this through.
We can do it. Yeah, we can do it through talent.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I think, you know, for Pete, in many ways, if you really do look at it, he kind of was right. Or at least in this world of basically, if we don't get his vote, it's a guaranteed no.
Right. Yeah,
it's not a guaranteed yes. But
right, he was removing all impediments, as he says, which is, I mean, that's what he was doing. He was trying to do everything he could to pave the road to make sure it would happen. So, I mean, can you fault him for it? So he pimped her out. You know, how bad is that? I mean, if she's willing to do it anyway. So, and how about the negotiation with Joan? She goes back into the office, and I mean, okay, before we get into that, okay, Lane comes in, and you think he's going to try to talk her out of it. And he doesn't, and because I was like, wow, what? And just like she said, you know, I thought you were coming in here because you trying to talk me out of it because you had feelings for me. And he said, well, I do. That's why I put you ahead of the company. And then you were talking right when it was happening. You go, well, he's doing that because he's worried about the bonuses and the 50,000, the line of credit. And you know, and it's like he really and Joan's usually sharp and sees those things. And I thought that was wonderfully played because I was buying it, and I go, that's right, he's not doing this for her.
He's doing it to get out of the bonus. But here was the interesting thing: he did say to her how he took a bad deal, that he made his deal with the devil. He said, "Oh, for the sake of the company, I'll take a lower salary,
right? And
I took enough, and now I'm right. It was 5."
Yeah.
And he was basically probably saying to her as well, "Be careful what you
wish for."
Yeah.
And what you negotiate.
Because this could it could go bad for you too.
You know, and so I guess in a way, of course, he was doing it for her because I think he does have feelings for her, but he was really worried about I think his prime motivation was the other thing. But he did give her sound advice. I mean, if you're gonna go down the road, you might as well ask for everything.
But isn't this so true of the road to hell?
Yeah.
Is paved with good
intentions. It's just a little thing. And it's that time when you sacrifice your integrity here, it gets easier there, boom, boom, boom. Pretty soon, before you know it, you're going, how the hell did I get here?
Right.
And I go, well, if you look back 3 years ago when you started down this road, it happened here, and all these little moments where you should have stood your ground, held on to your integrity, but no.
Rissa wants to know why we haven't spoken about iTunes yet.
Well, we better get on to that then.
So,
iTunes.
Phil,
take over.
iTunes is another lovely invention that these people from the 1960s have to look forward to. These podcasts talking about them. And so what we ask for in return is, the crazy part is these people would probably charge you money for this kind of content. I mean, by God.
How could they?
What kind of age they must look at us as total hippies.
Yeah.
But we're not. We are here every week giving you, anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more, and again, for free. And so we ask for, in return to that, you rate and comment us on iTunes.
Help us out. Give us a rate. Give us a comment. Download us. Tell a friend.
Telling a friend is also important.
Really helps us here.
Because here's what happens. You tell a friend, and now they're exposed to it. And it kind of grows exponentially from there.
Then we want them to be part of the conversation. That's why we like all the comments, and we read them. We try to improve.
Some
of
them I don't understand because sometimes they don't talk. I've heard that too much symbolism. Okay, fine. And then we got one last week that said
don't have enough symbolism. And here's the thing: we can't satisfy everybody, so we understand some people are going to like it when we talk about symbolism, and some people aren't.
But just so you know, we do understand the symbolism. We're filmmakers. We get it. Like every line,
and some of it we find fascinating. So we'll talk about it.
And John, you have direct sources to some of this.
I do have some direct sources of this, and so we will share those when we can, and when I can't because of professional courtesies, I can't. Anyway, so that's what we like. We appreciate the iTunes being downloaded. We want we certainly need your rating. We need you to tell a friend, and the comments are terrific. It helps us out, and we try to address them as much as we can. So we thank you for that.
What about
and the world will know we've arrived.
We should talk about Joan's perspective on all this.
Yeah, because I was really fascinated by this, especially when she goes home to the mom, and she goes home, and I just love her and her mom. I think that the way they draw that out, it's very well drawn, that relationship, and it's just uncomfortable and uncompromising and completely real, if you ask me. So, and then of course, one of my favorite lines is, "Have you been drinking?" Yes. And then she goes and gets her another drink.
Another drink. All right, sit down. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
So, I mean, they talked about what was going to happen. Did they not? Or
I don't think she talked to her mom about it. I don't think she said exactly
Nope,
what she was
I
doing.
don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think because there are certain things she just doesn't want her mom to know because her mom's too much in her business and there's just too much backlash for her.
Well, the mom suggested to get a colored girl.
Well,
yeah, because they're used to being bossed around.
The mom, that was quite funny. But the mom, you know, when Greg was in town, you know, the first thing that she did was, here's the baby and we're out. So the mother knows the roles.
Yeah,
and you know what? I don't think she'd be opposed to it if like, okay, you're going to get this kind of percentage. All right, go and do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's probably what it is. Well, if you're going to get that much for it, then it's probably worth an evening.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're getting screwed by men anyway. Might as well get something for it. I mean, I'm seeing that's the rationale. I think that happens. That conversation goes on.
Pete said that. You know, we've all had one. We've
all
had
evenings where we made mistakes.
And
so this one you just get some for it. Yeah. And you know, it's just I love the rationalization because that's when you get into trouble when you start compromising that principle just enough to go, you know what,
the road to hell.
I could do that exactly. So. But I love the way they played with time and space in this one because the first time we see Dawn with I mean I didn't know the first time Dawn comes over and has a word with Joan, we don't know that it's already happened. I didn't anyway.
Right. No.
And then we only get to see that ever. Did you guys pick that out?
No.
Okay, because that certainly got me.
I didn't pick it out. And what was great, her in both kind of time shifts, her look of like, you know, I thought all the partners were on board with this.
Right.
And the meaning that changes now that we know.
Completely, yeah.
And she said, you know, you were the good one.
Exactly. And that kind of surprised
And
me.
it's nice that she put her hand, great moment in direction and acting.
Face,
she put her hand on his
right. It's almost like
cheek.
she did it like in a for me there was a little motherly thing like he was dear. Like, you know,
like poor Dawn.
Like poor Dawn doesn't know.
That
and you know the poor guy, he's innocent, and I'm go of all people.
And who would have thought
exactly?
And that's kind of what she was saying in subtext.
Exactly.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought you would be the good one and you would be the innocent? Wouldn't even know what's going on. And the whole thing about I was just about to take a shower, and the first time we hear that we don't know. That doesn't for me. That doesn't take on any meaning until the next time when we realize where they came.
I said she's got to get the stink off of her.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it was
stink.
Literally the stink. I thought it was the symbolic stink of having agreed to this.
Yeah.
So
she was wearing a green.
She was wearing the green, you know, which he talked about the emerald.
Exactly.
You know, again, we talked. And, you know, it's so funny when the mom was talking about the refrigerator guy. Apollo and I are just friends.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, isn't it interesting? Apollo and then, you know, the guy from Jaguar talking about Helen of Troy.
Yeah, and the Sultan of Aubrey. Yeah, they were making and the epic poem. They were making all these references to these monumental
What
things.
did you make of her? You know, I mean, I guess it's on the nose where she just said it's two different stories.
Well, I think that shows first of all that she's smarter than him,
yeah.
And then she knows not only am I, you know, subjugating myself to this, but he's an idiot, not an idiot, but you know she's obviously smarter than he is, and then even though I'm smarter, this is what I have to do to get ahead.
And is it two different? Is it two different stories?
What's that?
Meaning, two different stories. Meaning whether it's Megan's story and you know, do you think there's more to it than that?
I don't get your reference.
Or well, when she says, did she mean like there's another side to this? Is a different side to the story
of her story?
Yeah,
I mean, that's you think
like
her subtext is?
I think so. I think it meant more.
Oh yeah,
than just that.
Yeah,
but that's why the writing's so amazing.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting too, we're coming off of that week with Dawn and Joan.
Right.
You know, right? They took the ride in the Jaguar.
Sure. Yeah.
They had, you know, they went to the bar and things like that.
Yeah, and they had such
so
a great, you know, chemistry and coming together, and there seemed to be a real relationship developing there. And now I think the way he's looking at it was just that I couldn't believe. I think he was. Stunned,
I mean, he
shocked,
basically
disappointed.
all the women in his life.
This is what I was
from
saying
Megan
earlier.
to Peggy to him.
Yeah, the mistress, every woman in his life is like not being what he would hope they would be. Because he was developing such respect. Not that he didn't have respect, but he had even more respect for her. And then this happens, and I just think the wind was taken out of him. And then right out, coming off the heels of that, we're moving on to the Dawn territory. But was there before we move into that, is there anything else we want to talk to about Joan? I love the way they played with time and space in this one. I thought that was a terrific conceit, and I bought it completely.
It was great.
Yeah. So, and I thought that was great, just great, the way they did that. And even after, when the next morning, when Dawn sees her, and she goes, "Hey, how'd it go?" Really good.
Oh, so
yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
It was a younger version of Don because he was so excited.
Yeah, exactly. He was back exciting again. He was excited.
But
and then they twice. Roger goes, "Get all the partners in here. I want them in here for the. Where are the partners?" And then boom, she walks in, and the look on his face was priceless.
And everyone's in black and gray.
Yeah.
But her in the bright green, and of course Lane with the red tie because he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And her and Lane were the ones to hug at the end.
Yeah. She didn't hug anybody. It was
Lane got her the partnership. He's the one that
gave her the idea, or at least to ask for the partnership.
Speaking of Lane, how crushed was he? No bonuses this year.
No bonuses.
Oh my God.
Poor Lane. Just can't get his damn bonus. So I can't wait for that thing to come back and haunt him. But okay, so first of all, and look, here's the thing. The last thing, Megan, when she leaves and Joan has that one look at her, is she's walking out. Everybody else is celebrating, and Megan's gone. Megan's leaving. And there's that one look back from Joan.
Yeah, not Megan. You mean Peggy?
I beg your pardon, Peggy. Peggy was leaving the office because Don said, "Okay, fine, you don't need to."
I thought it was the huge exchange.
Yeah, exactly. Because she said it.
As I was saying earlier on, Joan has always had the upper hand,
right?
On
especially
Peggy.
In that relation, yes.
And it's been, okay, you're talented,
right.
And you have a lot of raw talent, but.
Yeah. But I'm really running the show,
and I've been here forever, and
13 years.
And I'm all knowing, and she has been. She's been one step ahead of everybody, and that last look was like, what? Wait a second, I won, I got the partnership, but really, who won?
Yeah,
this girl walked out
with her head held
with
high.
her integrity.
She got her number, above her number, and her integrity,
and didn't have to,
and a future. And here she got a hell of a lot more money.
Right.
But what did she have to do to get it?
She sold her soul.
Exactly. So
and what is she? Yeah, and what is she now involved in?
Yeah, yeah. And how much more of her soul is left, and what is she willing to give?
Well, look what it's done to Lane.
Yeah.
So,
question. This is more about Peggy, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
In talking about Freddy, he says, "Don't be surprised if I give Dawn a call." So it's interesting. I don't know about Freddy's qualifications, and now she's leaving Dawn with someone who's worse. I mean, who knows? I mean, that may not come into play. He may, as he says, fire another freelance writer.
Right.
But it'd be interesting if it actually did turn out to be Freddy, and that's what Dawn was stuck with.
So should we move over to Peggy now?
Yeah, let's move
So it was interesting. I said to you guys during one of the commercial breaks, when Peggy sits to meet with her new boss.
Yeah.
There's the red ashtray there. And then by the end, she takes the big red thermos.
Right.
To me,
it's no accident she's taking a red thermos.
So what I'm contemplating is that something's going to go wrong with this new boss, and she's going to end up right back with us.
Or it could be, what is it? Just that little, because now that you've worked here.
Oh, you're going to take a little bit of it with you. Yeah, maybe.
You can't.
Maybe.
Once it's in you, you can't get rid of it.
Maybe. I mean, we know Freddy was somewhat bumbling. He had, alcoholism and whatnot, but it seems like he's
goes to bad like crazy for Peggy.
Yeah. It was interesting when she, when she meets with the new boss.
Yeah.
And she talks about like Clarisol being the first account, which of course is teenage medicine, so it's just interesting. Yeah. Teenage acne.
I had a lot of help.
Primarily. Yeah. her response? She's deferred. Instead of owning it at first, it was.
Yeah.
But did you also notice her makeup? It was very much like a mistress, like a prostitute. When she was on that date, it was. I mean, not date, but when she was out, it was. It was a little bit hussy-like,
right?
And
and the diner wasn't up to par. Where
very low. Yes, right. Very like totally like selling herself.
Yeah.
Low and short.
Right.
And then.
But still having the presence of mind at the end of it to be able to write
well,
that
she
number
gained
down.
strength.
Yeah,
she wrote Freddie and what surprised her was that she didn't have to cut corners. Her natural talent did win out.
Right.
The guy saw her talent in the book.
Yeah.
or so we think.
And gave her praise for it. So maybe it was just, blowing smoke. Who knows? But it seemed genuine. But who knows?
It seems genuine. As of now, let's believe it's genuine.
And she writes the number down. Oh, did Don teach you that and everything like that? It's like interesting. So he's even imbuing her with techniques that somebody like Don would use.
Let me ask you this. What is it a strategy, business-wise, what is a strategy? Okay, I gained this person for $19,000.
Right.
And then, so that means Don loses her, but more so he loses someone that he trusts.
Yeah.
So even if she can't deliver, who cares?
Yeah, but I think it's, if you're a businessman, of course, not only am I going to get somebody who I like, I saw her book, and I'm sure he does like that, and that's why, but I get to take her away from my competitor.
I think so, but I'd like to think at this point she got it on her merit.
It seemed like she did, and I've certainly bought that. I don't really believe any other argument at the moment. I think she did.
Well, story-wise, she definitely proved that with
the Cheval Blanc or whatever it is, that the whole cologne or whatever the hell it was that she was selling.
It was so great. She said, "I'm on everything but Jaguar."
Exactly.
So that's so cool. Like, I'm on everything but
the whole thing that's everybody's.
And then the deeper meaning is on the one thing that's the most wretched, and which is pulling them all down.
And impractical. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's clawing for that's going to probably sink them.
Right.
Exactly. And she, by the way, she came up with a great pitch in the meeting.
About Lady Godiva. But by the way, it was coming off what? Why would a woman want to buy anything for Valentine's Day?
All about women.
So but it's the old school of women. Like, why would a woman want to buy anything for Valentine's Day? Which today women and men buy for each other. Back then it was why would a woman? And how great is Peggy steps up and on the fly comes up with a great angle
and
a line.
Lady Godiva.
Right.
Because you could have used any reference. I mean, there are plenty of women in history that you could. No, she picked Lady Godiva. Stood out. And did it with her sexuality as well as all the other things that comes with it. Her own power. I mean,
and picks the guy up.
Exactly.
Puts him on the horse and takes the guy away.
So.
John, compare Cleopatra, Pete's reference, and then Lady Godiva.
Oh, great call.
Oh, and you put me on the spot. Thanks, Travis.
I'm going to put Ronnie in there. Ronnie,
wouldn't you say Cleopatra was much more corrupt and much more the one that was like a Pete cutting the corners? Like Joan, excuse me.
Yeah.
More like Joan.
Yes, was the Joan.
And Peggy's more Lady Godiva.
Yeah, that was the reference they were making.
That's good that's a real.
Yeah, that was a great one. I wish I had figured it exactly.
Still on fucking iTunes.
Yeah, talk about the young versus new.
No, but I wish I had that. But no, she was definitely the Cleopatra Joan was, and I thought that was a great reference that Pete made when he said it. Was it Pete that said it?
Pete brought up
Pete
did. You want to be Cleopatra.
You want to be the queen, and that's boy.
So that's a great pickup.
Nice. So, we were still talking Peggy. So we gotta talk that last scene. Now, do we want to talk about it now?
Well, let's talk about her and Ken, because although this,
okay,
it was small, it was pretty significant. The pact. Then you go back to writing fiction.
Oh, this is what I thought. After Dawn throws the money at her.
Yeah.
Again, throwing money at her.
Again,
like she's.
Like a hooker, and then
throwing money at her.
And on the surface, just speaking to the times, just how just assault and battery wasn't. None of that stuff was ever taken into consideration. There's no human resources.
Exactly. And if Don's clearly pissed because of the Jaguar thing not going well, and he's steaming and fuming in his office, and taking it out on her, but like the whole reason why she came up with that pitch is because she wants to go to Paris.
Right.
Completely discounted the talent. The fact that she turned around the account, got the account, came up with a great pitch right in the meeting.
Yeah, you want to go to Paris? Go to Paris.
Exactly. And so anyway, so that's the context for when she has the meeting with Ken. Right after that, and just now she's fuming in the office and doing exactly what Dawn did to her. She does to Ken, but she doesn't throw money at him. She throws her words at him by saying, "Hey, if you keep your pact for yourself, your silly notions for your fiction or whatever."
And referring to the pact that they had made, where
he says, "Wherever I go, I want you to come with me," or whatever it is.
Right.
So, man. So so she is Dawn in a sense. I mean, she's learned a lot being his protege.
It's interesting too when she meets with her new boss. That's what he talked about. I liked your writing. I like how you see things with a transparent eye, and talking about Ralph Waldo Emerson, and really getting to the writing end where she's never really considered that. She just has a natural talent,
right? And she doesn't do formulas. And she hasn't.
She doesn't know what she's not. You know what? She's not trained to.
Right, exactly. She hasn't.
This has all been her natural ability.
Right, and she hasn't. She hasn't really learned the bad habits, or she hasn't done it so long where she's relying on the old tricks. And that's what the guys were doing, by the way.
Right.
Remember, because Dawn was admonishing them for coming up with crap because they're using the same old stuff and horsing around and all this other stuff, and that's not where she lives. It's not how she does things.
And to see her smile was nice at the end before they cut to the Kinks, song. It was really nice to see her smile.
Finally.
Yeah. Now, we hope is that this isn't the end of Peggy because we love her.
No.
And I don't think so because I don't know. She doesn't strike me as the one that would be off the show.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. I hope they don't. Because, first of all, she does a fabulous job in terms of her acting, but that character alone has done so much. I mean, really bridging those things and bringing the female role into the world and having it, you can see the old school, you can see Joan, you can see all these, and here's the woman trying to have it all, even back then, trying to have a career, trying to have the relationship, all that kind of stuff. So
when I see some of the people in our business and they're like, say, mid-60s, that there's a lot of them, but when I see them, or even in the beauty industry, I do see a lot of CEOs and whatnot, and I think they were the Peggies back in the day.
Sure.
I'm sure they went through all of this.
Right.
To get there. So
and speaking of Peggy's going through all this, got to talk about that last scene, which will lead us into Dawn. So she has the final scene with Dawn. Wants to have a talk with him, and this is he's coming now again. Every time he has a scene with Peggy in this particular one, right before that, he gets some news that really puts him off his game. So the first time it's things aren't going well with the pitch, and then she comes in, the whole Paris thing, and he throws money at it. The next time she's saying it, that's when he just finds out that, okay, we have a new partner because Joan slept with Jaguar guy, and now she wants to talk. And he even says that, you picked the best time to ask for a raise.
He went from Megan, who said, "I'm not going to fail."
Yeah.
So just so you know, I will succeed, and this will bother you, and you're going to have to deal with it. Exactly. Then he deals with Joan, who sold her soul.
Just wants a moment's peace.
Yep. And he's like, okay, what now? And now who I see is his daughter, protege, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and then
but he also, I mean, it was in terms of the writing, so many daggers her way. Like I can't put you in charge of the Jaguar thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, okay, that's a slap on the wrist. And then is this about Joan being made a partner?
The guys at Jaguar just won't handle it. Yeah, and then it's about Joan make a partner. Well, she's been here 13 years, and it's just. And again, Peggy still taking it, bam, bam, but no, okay, fine, all right.
And that was
it
the
also
thing.
made it easier for her.
Obviously, per the agreement, it wasn't a silent partnership for Joan. But I think that that was the first time that Peggy certainly heard about it.
Unlucky 13 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So and then and I thought she held her ground nicely, held her composure, I should say. And really, I thought
he's like, all right, I'll whatever. Okay, make
and
up a number.
And he's going on.
And I'll beat it.
He's still not really dealing with it, not really, because he just wants the number to keep her.
And because he's been reinforced with this whole episode that it's all about a number.
Exactly, it's all about a number.
You can get her.
And finally, something beautiful you can buy, or whatever it is, and he can't buy her.
Not this time.
He cannot buy her. Joan can be bought, but apparently, Peggy can.
It was an interesting production design too.
What's that?
Hanging on his wall.
Well, I didn't see it.
With 3 awards. All from 57, 58, and 59. Just the past.
Exactly.
The past and what we've talked about.
Our accolades.
Historically speaking, the 50s, it was like such a change and literally a different era.
Yeah.
Mindset
the whole time.
I think the 50s was like the bridge between what went on in the 40s and 30s and 20s and all that stuff. But 60s is what we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
And you just see, again, he's the old.
Yeah.
He's out. And he just doesn't get it.
Yeah,
he doesn't get what's going on, how things are going, and how women now have that power to go and make a deal, make a better deal, and then walk out and not have a price.
Yeah.
She said, I'm doing what you would do.
Exactly.
Would he? Is that what he would do?
He would leave. Yeah, if you don't give me no.
But would he take the more money?
No, I think
Vintage Dong wouldn't, right?
I don't know if he would take the more money. I think because I think she was talking about it wasn't the money, because obviously if it was the money, she would have taken more money. It would have been about the number, and it wasn't about the number.
But my point is, and my question is, she said, "I'm doing what you would do."
But this
is that what Dawn would do?
That's what I'm saying, because I think Dawn wasn't always about the number.
That's
he needed respect.
That's what I'm asking.
He needed to be whatever. There was something. Mostly it was about money, but it also was about being an alpha. And I think he would have left if he didn't think he was. you were taking me serious, or if you disrespected me, I think he would leave just to spite you. And he would have left.
Just go and prove himself.
Exactly. To show you, oh yeah, you know what? I'll show you somewhere else. And then what are you going to think?
Well, that's what he did with Lucky Strike, too.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, I mean, the whole kind of mess that they're in was because of his letter, and it was about basically gaining respect in terms of that. And
what did he say last week? When we have the car, then when they'll know we're on the map. So it's not just about the number.
Right.
So, yeah. And I thought that was a great... And then the other thing, when she's leaving, she steps forward, holds out her hand to shake it, and he kisses it. And to me, that was kind of that's the Lady Godiva. That's the epic poem. That's the whole thing. How does he treat this woman? And you know, I mean, that's how gallant was that.
God, Hamm, I thought was fantastic in the scene. Beat red.
What was?
John Hamm.
Oh yeah.
I thought was fantastic in the scene.
Yeah.
You know, he just wanted to explode. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry.
Yeah, and then he said, "Fine, give me a number." You know, when that didn't work, and then it's like. And when he finally realized it was beat, I mean, that by the way, before he beat, with that whole sigh that he went to when he laughed about when, you know, who you're going to go with. Competition. Then he laughed and said, man, he realized he was beat. And then when he finally realized that there's nothing I can do, I think he was battle worn. And they just got the Jag account, and this.
And they're all celebrating.
Yeah, and she even says to him, "You don't even know when it's good, do you?" So, man, I thought that scene was great. I love that scene.
Should we, Phil, do we have to do another live read before we get last?
Yeah, speaking of hard numbers, let's talk hard numbers, John.
Oh, what do we got?
Video games nowadays they cost a lot.
Do they?
They do. I mean, some upwards of $50 to $60. My God, who pays for this? And so whether you're a kid that wants to play video games or your parent having to deal with these costly video games, there's a great solution for you called GameFly.
GameFly. What is that?
And it's like the Netflix of video gaming. I'm told they were actually around before Netflix.
So Netflix is actually the GameFly of movies and content.
Yes, and so like with Netflix, you can rent these video games for as long as you want, no late fees, all that fun stuff. And the cool part is, you're probably unsure. You know, we kind of all were. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna reveal it. I gave it a try myself. You know, I was kind of skeptical. And every now and then I like to play my video games. I don't like to buy them. And I tried it, and it was cool. So you too can try it for 15 days free just by going to gamefly.com/AfterBuzzTV. You will not get that 15-day free trial if you don't go to gamefly.com/AfterBuzzTV.
So there you go.
Give it a whirl. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. No big deal.
If you like it,
give it a whirl.
Yeah, there you go.
So
how great was, and it seems we've covered a lot of Don, but let's talk about the actual pitch that he makes Jaguar. I mean, if that wasn't like every amazing Act 3 of a great movie,
and
you know, John, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the intercut was
and Joan's the redhead, and there's the red car that he's describing, and the guy from Jaguar in the red robe, and they're going back and forth.
The intercut was great.
And what he's describing about a 10-year-old kid, and he sees
the yearning, the longing for something.
And isn't it him?
Yeah.
What's unattainable? Isn't it that Don? He's talking about his own journey.
Yes.
And
well, everybody's just, but specifically, he's speaking to the other, but we know it's also about him.
Well, let's talk about the wording. What price would we pay? What behavior would we accept?
Would we forgive.
And while Joan is doing
the behavior that she's going to have to learn to forgive.
It's great, don't you think? Great.
Oh, work. Just fabulous. And then to come back afterwards and then play that scene all over again was like, oh man, that's great. When Don goes to Joan's house again is what I was talking about. So after we find out what that's all about, and I had the skeevy scene with her and Herb. Joan and Herb, just skeevy.
It was skeevy, and especially the fact that I thought she'd at least play along with it, and she didn't.
You know, and I thought she was gonna, you know, like when he says let's see him, which is just so crass and just like, but you know, a guy wants to get down to business again, but it was just crass, and she stops him from touching her, and then she's in charge. She turns around, and I thought before she did that, when she stops him, I thought she was gonna sign on the dotted line, make sure I get the deal before whatever, even though she said to Pete, I'm not going to make any promises. But I thought she was going to do something right in that moment. I thought for sure she's going to say something about,
No, I think she did, per the whole agreement, she did what she was asked of.
Right. But no, I'm not saying I'm agreeing with you on that. That's why I said, even though she didn't agree with, she told Pete, I'm not going to make any promises. But it felt like somebody like John would make sure, if I'm going to go through this, I'm going to make damn sure I get this. I just thought she would have done it, but
just
not that she didn't.
Just a testament to how lame Irv is, because, you know, again, there's this woman, she's totally not enjoying it, and yet you're having the time of your life.
Yeah, well, he doesn't care. She's an object. Doesn't matter if she likes it or enjoys it or whatever. Yeah, classy. He's classy. What a guy.
And by the way, I don't know how accurate this is, but you know, I know earlier on, it was the episode before, they talked about the Jaguar and just that it was just how it's, you know, it's nice to look at, but it's not even an enjoyable drive because it doesn't even run
it's impractical. Well. I mean, I love the language they were using to describe the car and how it's a woman and that.
No, I was thinking is like, Jaguars must be a pretty confident company.
Yeah, to be able
they
to. They
must, you know, feel confident that they've evolved. Their name.
They've evolved from.
Yes, I mean, I know Ford. I think Ford owns them now.
They did. I don't know.
And they went through a big. This year, they went through a really big rebranding process.
Yeah.
Of really trying to get themselves out there as one of the leading luxury cars. So they're getting a lot of play here. But
certainly, yeah. But you would hope that they were they put an ad campaign like rethink, Jaguar or something. But they're, I'm sure they're getting their money's worth.
Anyway, I loved,
as long as they're talking about you.
That cutting back and forth. I thought
it was really well done.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, and a great pitch, by the way, from Don.
Brings me back to the carousel days, season 1 finale.
Exactly.
So I know I bitched about that last episode of like, the world will arrive. Now we're kind of talking about it as the pivotal thing, but again, it just didn't feel like this felt.
Right, and it's interesting too because the carousel thing, there was no, it was self-contained in the sense that it was amazing, and then it got him this. It was an amazing pitch, but because they intercut it had such a different meaning, and yes, it got him the account, but again, he's disappointed because it wasn't talent alone that got it. Right. He can't even. I made a great pitch. I did the work. I put in the work.
Yeah.
And then the time, and now I don't even get the reward for getting the gig because I know it's tainted.
Question. Yeah. Did he do the work or was it Ginsburg?
Well, they all did the work.
I'm glad you brought up Ginsburg.
But here's the thing. But without him pushing them,
he pushed them.
That's
right.
But
in the past, it's always been Don to come up with the final product.
And now it's Ginsburg. You're right. And so it's great that you picked up. I'm glad. Yeah. So we didn't want to leave out dear Ginsburg.
No, we didn't.
Because I think the foreshadowing with Ginsburg is he's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because not only he may be smart. Right.
Yeah.
And for him to say, why is he in the office with her? His eyes are on.
Yeah. He doesn't care
all
about
Don's business. Why is Don? Why does the wife just get to walk in and they're like, shh, don't you understand? This is her best friend. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh boy. And for him to come in, permission to speak freely. And he's bold, and he is talented, but he's bold, and he had a good thing going with Peggy.
Yeah,
and he's gonna have problems with him now.
Probably, which is great. It's gonna be good for us.
It's gonna be great for us, but not so good for Don.
No,
could be good for the company though.
Yeah, if they use him.
I think for me another excellent show tonight.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah,
really well done.
God, my God, best
Should
thing
we take a break?
We need to take a break.
Please, we need a break.
Ronnie, if you would be so kind, would you do me a favor and take us to our break?
Hey guys, what's happening? We are the America's Best Dance Crew ABDC After Show coming to you guys. We watch the show every week just like you, and we go every Friday to the set to interview and talk to the crews behind the scenes and let you know what is happening behind the scenes.
Hey everybody, we are AfterBuzz Mob Wives Edition, the only Mob Wives after show out there. I'm your host, Adrienne Vera, with my lovely co-hosts,
Keven Undergaro,
Grant Rudder,
Cameron Marston.
You guys can check us out every week. We have a lot of fun. We drink wine. We talk about the show. So check us out. We're also doing the Big Ann Show. So tune into that and Mob Wives Chicago.
Hey guys, what's happening? We are the Game of Thrones AfterBuzz crew. I'm Dave Klein.
Bethany Jaber. Kristen Elizabeth Snyder.
Simone Boyce.
And we come to you every single week live Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific time for we are kings of the Game of Thrones after show. And we have one thing to say. Oh, Shadow Baby. Oh, Shadow Baby. Oh, Shadow Baby.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about? AfterBuzz TV News.
Well, speaking of Ginsburg, Ben Feldman says he was shooting a scene as Ginsburg the newest copywriter.
Yes.
When his co-star Aaron Staton, who plays Ken Cosgrove, pointed out that the creator and executive producer Matt Weiner has a knack for casting actors in roles that match their real-life personalities. Quote, I sat there thinking, well, that's great for Matt, but I'm playing his lunatic, socially awkward weirdo. What does that say about me?
And by the way, because he is Ginsburg, that's exactly what Ginsburg would say.
Exactly.
to Don Draper.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of.
Well, that's great for Don, but I'm playing this lunatic, socially awkward weirdo. What does that say about me?
That's right.
Oh, my God. That's great.
All right, what else you got?
Well, John Slattery,
yes,
who we know plays Roger, stopped by The View and discussed his character and the infamous LSD trip. And Barbara Walters complimented Slattery's acting in the tripping scene and asked, how did you know how to do this? Slattery was quick to predict where the conversation was going and asked, are you asking me if I have ever done LSD? Walters declared, I wasn't, but you can answer that. The actor then came clean about his own personal histories with psychedelics, sort of. Nah, I did my share of experimenting when I was a kid, but even if I was told it was LSD, it probably wasn't. And then also Matthew Weiner later explained how significant this season has been for that character, with that as the turning point. The trip represented the first time Sterling has been able to experience true empathy. Slattery also spilled a few Mad Men trade secrets. Those cigarettes, you know, we know this, but they're herbal and all that. So you guys should check it out.
And
do they have archived views of the View? No,
probably.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. No, you could probably find it.
But definitely check it out. And then Alison Brie, who I miss dearly on the show. We know her as Pete's love interest. Is known for playing prudish characters on TV, but in real life she's far more than adventurous. The actress who stars on Community as well as Mad Men revealed her exhibitionist past during her appearance on Thursday of Conan O'Brien. Brie attended the California Institute of Arts, which has had a lax attitude towards public nudity. She says, it's wonderful. I got a great education there. It's also very liberal. And the time that I was there, I was especially liberal in ways like clothing is optional everywhere except the cafeteria, which I think is a really good policy, because the last thing you want at the salad bar is like testicles.
Thank you, Alice.
All right.
Yeah, well, that's lovely. That's a nice thought.
What is this? The California Institute? I gotta go there.
Lovely girl.
Gotta go there.
Anyway, I guess that's news and gossip for season 5, episode 9.
Yes, it is.
May 27th, baby, 2012.
And what are our predictions?
Oh.
And
Wow.
now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right.
Two more to go.
Well,
usual cryptic
yeah.
scenes from next week. Although we do see someone in green in the Joan seat at the head of the table. Looked like another head secretary, right?
Exactly.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what kind of partner Joan's going to be.
And lots of lines we don't. I'm sure she's going to be great.
Yeah,
but lots of lines that we don't know.
But a woman in the inner sanctum.
Yeah.
So that's.
But think of the woman they're getting. She's so smart.
She's very smart. Very smart.
But partner worthy?
Well, yeah, because she earned her partnership. According to them, it was worth it.
But she'll have to pay the price.
Yeah, because now because here's the thing. Even though it got them the Jaguar thing, they're going to look at her as this is even though they won't say it, this is the woman who hoarded herself out.
Yeah, and I imagine you're going to ask questions in the office, and people are kind of look at her funny. And then Don and Megan, that's only going to heat up until we get to the season finale.
But do you think the whole money issue with Lane is going to come out? I hope it comes out. I hope something happens.
Speaking of the bonus, this was a lot of times, obviously there's through lines in all of these storylines.
Right.
That was I don't know if it was the first time, but to directly reference something from the previous episode, like literally directly reference it in terms of the bonus. I haven't seen that before. Usually, there's a few months span between each episode.
Right.
In terms of the story, and now we're still at kind of the Christmas time area.
Sure.
So.
But they got it, right? I mean,
They
before
have
in this season,
so.
right? I mean, please.
Yeah, and I don't think we're getting a happy ending.
No, I don't think so either. But it's going to bother me if they don't. Don't leave this thing hanging. Don't leave it, you know.
No, they won't.
Make
they
it go
won't.
bad.
I think it'll be the last episode. It's all going to blow up.
Please, at least have that be part of that finale for us. We got 2 more episodes this season. And
I wonder how long they'll make us wait. I don't think it'll be as bad as last time.
No, it won't.
Well, it'll be a year
because they have their contract. So
okay.
But it won't be 2.
All right, that's it. Well, Ronnie Jr., we appreciate you being in the booth. And on behalf of Phil Svitek and Keven Undergaro, I'm your host, John Comerford, saying thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.